Keep going. All right.
Good morning. As we begin our service today, we acknowledge that we are gathering upon the homeland of the Western Abenaki people. Hence, we express gratitude for their traditional and ongoing stewardship of the lands and waters. And we also offer respect to the elders, both past and present. My name is Tom Shurston. My pronouns are he, him, and his. As today's worship associate, I extend to you a warm welcome. Thank you for joining us in this time of worship from wherever you are, whether you are here in the sanctuary, on Facebook or Zoom, or watching the service on your own time. We deeply appreciate your presence and your fellowship. Since 1864, the Unitarian Church of Montpelier has been a sanctuary for those seeking spiritual sustenance and peace and justice in the world. Whether you are a newcomer, a longtime member, or somewhere in between, you are part of our community, and we are glad you are here. If you are joining us in Zoom, the chat function will be on for much of the service. It is a great way to publicly welcome and support one another, to affirm the hard work and effort of our worship team, and to share good vibes and positive thoughts with each other. For technical issues or constructive suggestions, please send a private message to one of our Zoom hosts, indicated with an asterisk by their names, or join us for coffee hour after this service to share them there. Thank you to our virtual greeters, who are offering hospitality and tech help throughout the service. Additionally, on Zoom, click on the live transcript button wherever it lives on your screen for increased accessibility. I invite you now to take a moment to turn your video on and go into gallery view on your Zoom screen, or turn to your neighbors from the seat in the sanctuary and offer one another your greetings. Again, a warm welcome to each and every one of you, ones who are here and elsewhere. I have a few brief announcements about the life of our congregation. Because we have an owl class meeting in the vestry this morning, those in the sanctuary are asked to exit the building after the service using the front doors, unless you are in need of the elevette or restrooms. Secondly, all are welcome to our outdoor in-person coffee hour on the church lawn following our service today. Bring your own coffee or tea and meet and greet friends, old and new. We invite all ages to a lifetime spiritual exploration service project for Green Up Day this Saturday at 9:30, May 7th, with some food afterwards to celebrate our efforts. Next Sunday, May 8th, we are delighted that our church choir will be singing live and in person during this service for the first time in over 2 years. Choir members are required to be fully vaccinated and will be taking COVID tests before coming in to sing. We hope you will come and enjoy the live music. Finally, please read the weekly e-newsletter to learn more about the many upcoming events in our church community. And let us now enter more deeply into our time of worship with the Prelude.
Our opening words are by Unitarian Universalist minister Rebecca Savage.
Let beauty in.
Let beauty in like waves lapping on the shore, covering the beach with foamy glee and soaking the sand like an embrace.
Let beauty in.
Let beauty in like the first sunshine after a cloudy day, filling hearts and homes with a radiance that brings delight.
Let beauty in.
Let beauty in like a wrapped gift from the Spirit of life herself, as she offers to us.
Behold what creation can do. Behold this love made real that you can touch, taste, and smell all around you.
May all that is pleasing and exquisite be nurtured here in our time of worship.
May the magnificent pull towards all that is divinely pleasing hold us close.
May the sacred pulse within this space as we welcome in beauty. I invite you now to rise in body or spirit. Join in singing our opening hymn. It's number 346 in the gray hymnal. Come sing a song with me.
You
We have a theme of beauty happening this month, and today in particular. And we have beautiful flowers in our sanctuary every Sunday, and UCM member Beth Damon is responsible for that. I don't know where they come from, but they are always here. Let us now light the chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. As UCM member Beth Damon lights the chalice, we invite you to light a chalice at home if you have one nearby. We light this flame, an enduring symbol of our collective commitment to lead with truth and compassion. Please join us now in saying the Congregational Covenant. We covenant to speak honestly and listen deeply to each other and the voice within. Treat each other with compassion and honor our differences. Take responsibility for the impact of our words, actions, and inactions have on each other. Support each other in times of need and of grief, and celebrate the beauty and joy in our lives. Honor the gifts of the past and be gentle with each other as we grow. Encourage each other in the brave work of creating a more beloved community and a healthy, sustainable world. And forgive each other and start again. Our giving is a spiritual act, and our generosity is a form of love and gratitude that helps us to practice Unitarian Universalism in support of our shared values with our collective resources. Charity is central to the well-being of our church and the community beyond, as well as primary to our own sense of self. Each month through the UCM Community Pouch Program, we share a part of our collection with an important church fund or a community organization aligned with our values. During the month of May, our Community Pouch recipient is Outright Vermont. As our e-newsletter explains, Outright Vermont is building a Vermont where all LGBTQ+ youth have hope, equity, and power. By sponsoring a summer residential camp, the organization provides an opportunity for campers to be their true selves for perhaps the first time in their lives. That is, to be seen, loved, and celebrated for who they are. The impact of a single week of Camp Outright is profound and lasting. Your contribution to the UCM Community Pouch this month will directly support this work. If you are in the sanctuary, you can make a financial contribution today by placing your offering in the dark green pouches located at the outside ends of each pew, and it looks like you have found them. Please pass the pouch toward the center aisle to be picked up by an usher. Cash offerings in the pouch will be split evenly between Outright Vermont and the church. If you are donating online, please go to ucm.org and click on Donate to UCM. There are options to contribute to the general fund, which supports the general operating budget of the church, the community pouch, or both. You can also mail a check to the church, or you can use our text to give option. Simply send a text message with the word give to 802-266-4848 and follow the instructions sent to you. Again, that number is 802-266-4848. We are so grateful to each and every one of you for your generosity in its many forms. While the offering is being given and gratefully received, please enjoy a very unique artistic offering which embodies beauty in so many forms. The Quarry Project is a site-specific dance theater piece created for the Wells Lamson Quarry in Websterville, Vermont, directed by Hannah Dennison, excuse me, in which dancers and musicians perform on floating platforms in the quarry. Performances were originally scheduled for the summer of 2020, but like so much else during the pandemic, they have been postponed until this August. We are so pleased today to be seeing a portion of a short film from the project, which was created over these past 2 years of waiting and continued creative development. The film will be accompanied by 2 members of the ensemble dancing live here today in the sanctuary. Members of the project's artistic and production team, Amy LePage and Emily Bodecker, will be with us at our in-person coffee hour for further conversation. You can learn much more about the project through the link written in the order of service, and let us now enjoy this unique artistic presentation.
Breathing into the back side of my rib cage, and the sides of my rib cage, connecting to like the bones of my body. This proximity to other people, feeling this edge of me in relationship to the edge of another person, breathing.
And go one.
As we move into our time of meditation and prayer, let's take a breath of gratitude for the artistry that's been shared with us this morning. Thank you. During our time of meditation and prayer each week, we acknowledge that we come together in community, bringing with us our own individual joys, sorrows, gratitudes, and challenges. These have been many over the past 2 church years, much of which we spent in physical separation as a community. As more of you begin to return to the sanctuary after this extended time of absence, and it's so lovely to see more of you here today, the worship team has created an opportunity for sharing with one another what has been on your heart as you return to this shared sacred space. And we invite you to participate in a community scrapbook project. Those who are present in the sanctuary can find a station at the rear of the sanctuary, as well as scattered on the windowsills. And this is a station for sharing life events, big and small, from the past 2 years that you'd like for others to know about, as well as what it's like for you to return to this sacred space. You will find there these brightly colored pieces of paper, some pens that you can use to write down your reflections. This will be available all through the end of the church year, so there are still several more weeks and opportunities to participate. As you come back, you are all invited to share in written form, to read what others have shared, and the worship team will be compiling all of this into one big scrapbook at the end of the church year, and we hope you will participate.
I invite you now to participate in this sensory reflection on beauty that Reverend Joan wrote several years ago, and I've added some words to for this morning. We realize we might not all have the capacity to do all of these movements, but may we each give thanks for the abilities that we do have. I invite you, as you are willing and able, to participate in this interactive meditation. You may rise in body or spirit. It's also fine to do seating if you prefer. So first, let us shake out our arms and hands. Rest them now by your sides. Let us shake out our legs and our feet, and then plant them firmly on the floor. Let us stretch our heads high. Let us take a deep breath of thankfulness. Let us touch around our eyes gently. Touch those eyebrows and eyelids. Happy to have the beauty of color and line and shape. Let us visualize the opening flowers, the trees leafing out, the babies, the colors of a sunset, all of the living things in which we delight. Now let us touch our ears. Through them we hear glorious sounds, beautiful songs, and lonely cries, the spring voices of the birds at dawn, the peepers at night. Let us listen well so that we may fully live. Let us touch our noses, for through them we smell our morning coffee or tea or pancakes, and can better know the flowers and herbs all around us. Let us breathe through them deeply so that we may live fully. Let us touch our lips. You might have to reach under your mask. For through these lips we receive food and drink that nourishes us and helps us grow. We speak words that express our thoughts and feelings. Let us touch our hearts, for it is through our hearts that we know and share love. Let us feel the world around us in our imagination. Let us experience the wind that cools us, the sun that warms us, later today perhaps, and the rain that nourishes the earth and cleanses us all. The beauty of life is all around us. Let us softly say, in our own way, thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, nature. Thank you, world. We'll now share in a time of silent meditation, followed by sung Spirit of Life, in which Danya and I will lead you in some movements if you wish to stay in this embodied space together. You all here in the sanctuary looked like trees blowing in the wind. The reading this morning is the poem entitled The Word by Tony Hoagland, published in Sweet Ruin by the University of Wisconsin Press. Down near the bottom of the crossed out list of things you have to do today,
Between green thread and broccoli, you find that you have penciled sunlight. Resting on the page, the word is beautiful. It touches you as if you had a friend and sunlight were a present he had sent from someplace distant as this morning to cheer you up and to remind you that among your duties, pleasure is a thing that also needs accomplishing. Do you remember that time and light are kinds of love, and love is no less practical than a coffee grinder or a safe spare tire? Tomorrow you may be utterly without a clue, but today you get a telegram from the heart in exile, proclaiming that the kingdom still exists, the king and queen alive, still speaking to their children, to anyone among them who can find the time to sit out in the sun and listen. I invite you for a moment to bring to mind something of beauty that you observed or experienced in the last 24 hours. Just the other day, I was picking up sticks off the lawn and doing some raking when I noticed a small shrub beneath the towering pine trees. Everything around it was brown and dried out, but its leafless branches held delicate, bright pink flowers. The shrub appeared a few years ago amid the undergrowth of that tree canopy and has come back each spring since. A voluntary, as they're called, not planted by us, but sprouting up through nature's own ways. We also have some voluntary daffodils around our property. Maybe you do too. Their bright yellow flowers announce spring and give me hope when hope is hard to find. This beauty is grace. In this case, it appears without any effort of my own, a gift for the soul. The naturalist John Muir has written, "Everyone needs beauty as well as bread." Beauty is as fundamental to our surviving and thriving as the bread we feed to our bellies. Bread itself can also be beautiful. Each week, my family gets a loaf of bread from Rise Up Bakery in Barrie, baked next to the old labor hall by Jim and Larissa Haas, who have deep ties to both Vermont and Ukraine. This bread is beautiful by any measure. The look of it, the smell of it, the feel of it, the taste of it. We need beauty and bread. Bread and all forms of nutritious food to sustain our bodies, beauty to sustain our souls. This is the same sentiment behind the famous labor movement slogan, "Bread and Roses." The term was first spoken by the women's suffragist Helen Todd in 1910, when she said, "Not at once, but woman is the mothering element in the world, and her vote will go toward helping forward the time when life's bread, which is home, shelter, and security, and the roses of life, music, education, nature, and books, shall be the heritage of every child that is born in the country, in the government of which she has a voice." The phrase was picked up by James Oppenheim in his poem, Bread and Roses, published the next year. The first stanza reads, "As we go marching, marching in the beauty of the day, a million darkened kitchens, 1,000 mill lofts gray, are touched with all the radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing, bread and roses, bread and roses." In 1912, immigrant women workers in a garment factory in Lawrence, Massachusetts, went on strike. They, as well as the children who worked alongside them, were underpaid. They'd often get sick from all the dust that came up in their work with the textiles. With support from the industrial workers of the world, they organized. They went on strike for several months until their pay and working conditions improved. And it has been reported that one of the strikers carried a sign that read, "We want bread, but roses too." And now this famous strike is known as the Bread and Roses Strike. The demand that there be more to life than just the basic necessities earned through the toils of labor resonated with many. The labor organizer Rose Schneiderman continued to carry this sentiment into the reform movements of the time. In a speech in Cleveland in support of the Ohio Women's Campaign for Equal Suffrage, she said, "What the woman who labors wants is the right to live, not simply exist. The right to life as the rich woman has the right to life, and the sun, and music, and art. You have nothing that the humblest worker has not a right to have also. The worker must have bread, but she must have roses too." This fight for greater pay and leisure time and the right to vote was a fight to have space for beauty, to make art, to enjoy life, to engage in activities that are for pleasure and not for output or production. The poet and philosopher John O'Donohue writes, "When we lose sight of beauty, our struggle becomes tired and functional." When we lose sight of beauty, our struggle becomes tired, functional. I wonder if any of you have been feeling a bit tired and over-functional. I have certainly had my moments. Life can begin to feel overwhelmed by our to-do lists, by our efforts to meet our obligations, by our efforts to simply make it when nothing seems to be going our way. There's a particular scene in the 1994 movie, The Shawshank Redemption, that speaks to the relationship between struggle and beauty and the power of beauty to put us in touch with something within us and beyond us that transcends that struggle. In the movie, it is the 1950s, and Andy Dufresne, played by Tim Robbins, has been serving a double life sentence for the murder of his wife and her lover, a murder that he didn't actually commit. He's dealt with the brutalities of prison life and has somehow maintained a quiet dignity. He becomes interested in improving the prison library, and after years of petitioning the state for some funds to buy new books, a small check arrives as well as a box with some old discarded books and records. Andy, a former banker, has started doing some work for a few prison guards as well as the warden, and he is in the warden's office when this box arrives. He begins to flip through the records to see what is in there, and there's one that catches his attention, a recording of the opera, The Marriage of Figaro. The guard that was with Andy in that warden's office watching over him has gone to the bathroom, and he's in the bathroom. Andy uses his opportunity to take the record, puts it on the phonograph that happens to be in the warden's office. And the melodious sounds of a soprano voice start to fill the air, singing in Italian. The guard calls out to Andy as he's perched on top of the toilet, "Andy, do you hear that?" And Andy goes over and locks the bathroom door. He locks the door to the warden's office as well, and then he turns the microphone of the prison PA system toward the horn of the phonograph. The music is piped into every corner of the prison, the laundry room, the metal workshop room where workers are creating things, the mess hall, and outside into the prison yard. all activity stops as the men are held captive by the music filling the air. Red, another prisoner and a good friend of Andy's, played by Morgan Freeman, provides commentary on the moment. He says, "I have no idea to this day what those two Italian ladies were singing about. Truth is, I don't want to know. Some things are best left unsaid. I like to think they were singing about something so beautiful it can't be expressed in words and makes your heart ache because of it. I tell you, those voices soared higher and farther than anybody in a gray place dares to dream. It was like some beautiful bird flapped into our drab little cage and made those walls dissolve away. And for the briefest of moments, every last man at Shawshank felt free." Beauty has the power to lift us even for a moment out of the imprisonment of our despair and our heartache, and to connect us to another truth of human existence, another place of possibility. As much as it is human to struggle for and towards progress, for and towards justice, for and towards our own betterment, it is also human to seek beauty, to yearn for the spiritual freedom that is found in the enlivening of the spirit by word, by song, by the blessedness of the unbidden experience of utter delight. We humans need the grace of beauty. Beauty awakens and energizes, beauty enlivens. It is there, often as a gift in waiting, like the early spring blossoms of a shrub you did not plant, or a piece of music that takes you by surprise, or sunlight that you have the wisdom to go out and seek on a beautiful spring day. As we engage with the theme of nurturing beauty this month, I invite you into a practice of giving and receiving gifts of beauty. Each week, maybe even each day, find a way to offer someone a gift of beauty. Maybe it's a small bouquet of daffodils that you can offer a friend, a haiku that meditates on the spring arrival. Maybe it's a homemade meal arranged just so on the plate. As part of the practice, you might also take note of and give thanks for the gifts of beauty that you have received each week or even each day. I invite you to record these gifts of beauty in some way, write it down, take a picture, so that we can share these with one another in our worship services later on this month. And right now, in this moment, I invite you to call out, if you're here in the sanctuary, or type in the chat, where have you noticed beauty? What gifts of beauty have you recently given or received?
The folk art that our neighbor installed yesterday on our corner for the whole neighborhood to enjoy.
The buds on the maple trees.
The flowers growing in the woods.
Spring flowers in the yard.
Goldfinches on my bird feeder. The daffodils in my front yard. Kids in a playground. Kids in a playground.
Waterfalls in the woods. Smiles.
The seeds from last year that are still good.
Thank you, thank you. I'm going to read a few that were in the chat. Tulips, bird making a nest in my birdhouse. Photos of my grandchildren from Istanbul and from my daughter in Portugal. The stream, a hug to a friend. Thank you all. In the days to come, may you all find space among your list of to-dos for sunlight, for song, for art, for the flowers, for beauty and delight that brightens the heart and lifts the spirit. And I invite you now to rise in body or spirit, to join in singing our closing song as we come marching, marching, also known as Bread and Roses. You will find the words in the gray hymnal in number 109 if you'd like to use that. We also in the sanctuary have a printout. We'll be using the more well-known melody that's written by Mimi Baez Farina and made famous by Judy Collins. If you don't know it, you can use the words and music that you'll see on the Zoom screen or on the printed sheet here in the sanctuary. And as we draw our service to a close, we extinguish the flame of our chalice. Let us bring with us the inspiration gathered here and hope for the days ahead until we come together once again and rekindle this flame anew. Please join in saying our congregational mission statement. We welcome all as we build a loving community to nurture each person's spiritual journey, serve human need, and protect the earth, our home. I will go into gallery view once again so folks in the sanctuary can see you on Zoom. I invite you to do the same if you would like. May you go from here lifted in mind, heart, and spirit by the beauty that you have encountered in this time of worship. May you let beauty into your life and share gifts of beauty wherever you go. May you go in peace and return again in love. And we conclude our service with the postlude.